bad and we not want to get canceled. Yeah, I think we're live. It should be around 30 seconds. My colleague is checking the live stream now, and yeah.
Ja, guten Abend, Deutschland.
Guten Abend.
Pardon?
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend. Yes. I studied half a year in Estonia, and I don't know nothing anymore. I had like half a year of Estonian language, and we're live. And it's so difficult, this language. It's unbelievable. The only thing I know is tere and tere hommikus and something like this, and negemist. And of course, to say my name, minu nimi on Valdemar. And but it's such a difficult language. Well, anyhow, we're live now. Well, thank you for the opportunity to have this live tasting with you again, guys. And of course, not just to hang out 2 hours, but also like to introduce like some of your new beers. And of course, something you changed, quite frankly, in the last couple of weeks, that you like implemented the canning line, which is a huge step, I think, for you. Yeah, and before we start with the first beer and your explanation about that, let's maybe introduce yourself. Like maybe you say something about yourself. What's your position? What are you doing? Something maybe about Põhjala.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Peter. I'm one of the co-founders of the brewery, and today, and actually from beginning, you're responsible for sales and marketing of Põhjala brewery.
And I'm Chris. I'm head brewer over here. Been living originally from Scotland. Been living here since 2013, and it's kind of my job to make sure that the beers are coming to you as delicious as they possibly can be, and to experiment and try out new stuff, and make all these new interesting flavors that we're going to be tasting tonight.
Yeah, we had a little chit chat before, and I wanted to start like recap like the last 1.5 years. Been a wild ride with the pandemic, I think, and a lot of businesses, a lot of companies have struggled during that time. And we who are working in the beer business also have like a little bit of like a special challenge towards it, because every bar is closed, the restaurants is closed, and we still have to figure out like to get our beer to the customers. How have you faced this time? How have you managed to challenge yourself in order to survive or something? Because it's really tough in that time, right?
Yeah, we are in position that we have a brewery, but we're also running a restaurant along with the brewery. So we have experience from both, from the very end of the hospitality business and also running as a production business. And yeah, it has, for us as a company, we have to, we have to have trimmed a lot of fat. You know, we have to find the resources we didn't know that exist for us. And you know, it sounds maybe hollow, but really it has made definitely stronger. We haven't let anybody from our team. You know, we cut a little bit the wages, but we have stick together, and we have come through it. You know, and definitely we have had put a lot of thinking into our production line, you know, the product line, you know, thinking more about the local market, like I think every brewer in the world. But all in all, you know, I think we have come out of stronger. You know, even despite the crisis, we managed to fulfill the investment of the canning line and finally become a canning brewery. And maybe Chris can compliment me with the production side. But yeah, from business side, you know, it has been definitely tough, but also kind of a good learning for us as a young company, you know, and definitely we come out of that stronger because we have learned so much, because we're still around, you know, we're here. Yeah. So this is definitely a very positive thing, and again, it gave us a lot of time to fine tune our beers. That's yeah. One thing, and I think it's a good time for Chris to take over, because we had time to like a.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, a lot of the stuff that we've been able to do, yes, like most other breweries, I think everything slowed down a little bit for us, but that allowed us to focus a little bit more and have some capacity to brew beers that we might not have been able to brew otherwise. So a lot of the barrels that are filled around us, we're in our barrel room at the brewery. Those are ones that have come out of the pandemic, where maybe we were like, we'd like to try this, but we don't really have tank space for it. But now suddenly we had a bit of tank space.
Yeah.
One of the big benefits of it all is because again, the demand for a lot of like fresh hoppy stuff was drastically lower for us over here because there was almost no export and very little on trade. But what we took that to heart was like that every single time we brew one of these, it absolutely counts, and it's a laser focus. So it meant that we could just look at that, and every single time, like, okay, how can we improve this one here? Because we're not going to brew again for a month or so, you know. That was very important for us. So we used this time absolutely to sort of like do what we never could do otherwise.
All right. Well, I heard those kind of stories from a lot of like people in different areas that they like changed something in order to survive, and that helped them to grow something. So I mean, I think a lot of people wanted to join this tasting also to drink beer, not just to have a nice chit chat. So you made a lot of effort, and you somehow did a couple of videos. So in order to do so, we will blend in these videos before each beer, and then we'll start with drinking, right? So let's go. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I just wanted to say that this will be a little tour around us. You know, you might have seen us in the brewery in the videos before, but this time, you know, the summer is here, so we wanted to show you a little bit around the brewery. So welcome to Tallinn.
Thank you. Let's go.
Hello Germany, I'm Chris and welcome to Põhjala. And we've been spending the whole of last winter filming inside our brewery, showing you what's been going on. But now it's a beautiful summer and we have a beautiful neighborhood around us. So let's go and take a tour of that, maybe drink some beers along the way. The first stop, we have a beer called Suvila. We have a pizzeria named Suvila. Let's maybe go pay them a visit. That's the plan. It's going to be a cease and desist. They have to either turn the place over to us. It's going to become my Suvila then. Or I don't know. Just give us a pizza every day. So here we are in front of Suvila. Suvila in Estonian means summer house, and it's a place to go when the weather is nice, out in the countryside, when you just want to get away and relax. And that's exactly what this beer is. The Suvila happens to make world-class pizzas in their oven, and there's also a little club attached. So, with that, cheers to Suvila.
Oh, I like it. I like that. Just enough to give it a little flavor. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, if this doesn't make you thirsty, I don't know what. Yes, guys.
Prost.
And yeah. Yeah. It's so crushable. From my first perspective, it's dangerous. And I faced like in the couple of last I don't know 9 to 12 months, a lot of breweries changed their focus towards lower ABV beers. But not just drastically, but a little bit. Not always like double and triple IPAs and all the heavy stuff, which you guys are famous for, to be honest, the dark ones. But yeah, also like something crushable, something that still has a lot of flavors. Just explain me a little bit, or the audience, what's the beer about? Maybe something about the hops.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we said in the video, Suvila is kind of a summer house in Estonian, and we really wanted a beer that you can, like, you know, when you're out there relaxing in a warm sunny day, you can crack one open for lunch, and it's one that you can keep on drinking if you really want, and you're not gonna feel the effects too much. It's just a nice, pleasant, drinkable beer, very sessionable. So to achieve this, was pretty difficult for us because, as you say, we're normally known for the higher ABV. It took us about 3 or 4 batches before we were really super happy. All those ones went down the drain basically, and then Suvila was born. It's big on Citra. It's got Mosaic. There's a hint of Sabro in there just for a little bit of tropical notes. All hops that are really sort of big, juicy, but really well balanced ones that you can just sort of like contribute to that fruity, fresh IPA feeling. And yeah, it's nice because as soon as you open up that can, you get that sort of immediate smell of those dry hops coming out. But at the same time, we didn't want it to be like thin and watery. We really wanted it to be like you're drinking an IPA and it's 3.8%, but that doesn't matter because it tastes like it's like 5-ish% or 4%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We hope you feel the stronger body of it. If you go to a little blind tasting and guess the ABV, you would probably guess a bit higher.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, session IPA is like a beer style that's known definitely for the beer geeks. How would you describe like a completely novice in this terrain? Like, what is a session IPA and what differs it to like a standard IPA or like maybe a pale ale with the same amount of ABV?
I think you have to go for the, I mean, the session IPA, very simply put, like, what we like to explain to our customers is like, it's sessionable. It's something that when there's a session IPA mentioned in the name, it makes the beer sessionable. You can have few in a row, and that's exactly what this beer is. The Suvila, the summer house, it's Chris said a lot about relaxing, but usually you have all these little projects going on in the summer house, and then you can promote yourself with a little beer and not get too tipsy and continue with another project. So it's the low ABV you mentioned. It's coming also. One thing is that the market around us, but it's also a little bit our own desires to drink a little bit lower ABV, and it's we have settled down a little, yeah. So
I mean, I know your first beer was the right?
Correct.
So it has like I mean, it's 12%, so it's quite heavy. Why was it like this kind of beer to be the first one? Because I mean, it's really, for a beginner, I would say quite frankly frightening, such kind of strong beer.
The original is 10.5%.
All right.
10.5% Baltic Porter, and when we started the Põhjala brewery, it was very much desired by the few friends, home brewers and beer geeks, and we were like foodies. So we really missed that there was not enough like a good dark beer, local dark beer on the market. So when Põhjala was started, was desired to offer on the local market the beer that by the heritage or history belongs to our market. I mean, has strong roots. And that's why we also wanted to start with the Baltic Porter, just to tell the story to the local market that it has strong roots to our area. So some people have claimed Estonia to be the home market, the growth place of Baltic Porter. But we have a little dispute with the Polish people, which is all good and nice. It's a Baltic Sea area beer. So it was good start for us to tell the story, and then Chris came in with his British Isles heritage and background, and made it a real porter brewed in the Baltics first time after decades. Because there was a very big break before us when the Baltic porter was brewed in Estonia. So yeah, and that was why we started with that beer.
Yeah. How do you maintain this kind of haziness? What is the difference in the brewing process in comparison, like to, I don't know, a West Coast IPA?
That's a pretty great question. And to be honest, the process is for us rather similar, because there's many ways of getting a haze in a beer, and like it's still a very hot topic years after the haze craze has kind of started. But for us, we want to keep it nice and simple. We don't want to like overload this with ways of getting it that aren't sort of naturally happening in the brewing process. So for us, we use a fair bit of oats in these. Sometimes we'll use a fair bit of wheat. And the particular yeast strain that we're using, it's a London Fog from White Labs. That just interacts really nicely with that grain bill and with the amount of dry hops that we're adding in there. And it just kind of makes this stable haze, because something that you might not know is this one is we have a centrifuge. We don't filter any of our beers, but we have a centrifuge which clears up most of our beers, removes the yeast. This gets run through just as much as any other beer does. So what you're seeing there, this haze, that's not yeast that's going to drop out. That's not hops that are stuck in there. That's just naturally haze that the yeast has created inside the liquid, and that should last forever, which we're really proud of, actually, and makes it look pretty beautiful, I think.
Yeah, it does. Is it like a special yeast strain, or is it something like your house blend? Or I mean, there are a lot of different options to get this stuff.
This one actually comes from White Labs, and then we grow it up in house. We've got a pretty awesome lab in here, and we can grow up the yeast that we want to make it act how we want as well. So if you're interested, then London Fog from White Labs works beautifully in beers like this, and it gives really great like fruity characters as well. You know, one difference with a West Coast IPA is the sheer amount of dry hops that go into beers like this, but also back then you were looking for a yeast that didn't give much character. It just like did its job and then dropped out and made the beer clear. Nowadays, I think many of us brewers, we want it to be like the yeast adds a certain character, and a lot of this peachy, I call it like, it's like peachy crush. It all comes from that yeast strain, because a lot of the fruit is not just from the dry hops, but it's coming from that yeast flavors.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to tell the audience, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. We will try to answer them at the end of every beer. So don't worry about this, guys. We are taking care of it.
I have a trivia question. Most of you are holding the Põhjala, the Suvila can in your hands. What car is on the label?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I see the headlight, and it reminds me of a brand, but I won't spoil it. Let's figure out whether our audience has the right answer, because I don't have it. I have a strong guess, but you guys.
That'll be a good one for me as well, actually.
Yeah, for me it's a really crushable beer. I like those kind of beers. I don't want to be. I don't know. I don't want to have like. I mean, I enjoy double and triple IPAs once in a while. But for me, double and triple IPAs is almost like a sipper. You know, you have like I don't know, Netflix series or something, and you enjoy it for yourself, like a little bit like on the longer period of time. And when I'm outside with friends, I want to crush 2 or 3, like, and don't worry about any consequences. So that's why I really like session IPAs. And for me, although it's really full-bodied, I think it's also quite like, and this is like really in contrary, quite dry, like not too sweet. Of course, the ABV is lower. I get it, but I really enjoyed this. I could drink it. I don't know if I can tell it, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 directly out of the can without any glass. I don't care. I would enjoy this definitely. Yeah. So I have two guesses already. Let's keep this guess thing going also through the next beer, because I mean they're just 2 guesses and they're different. I just wanted to ask you another question. I mean, you've been founded 2011, right?
Yeah, that's where, I mean, to be 2011 December, 3 friends decided that our hobby will become a business.
All right. I mean,
we founded the company and we started to basically to expense our hobby into the company. And then during 2012, we made preparations for the release of the company. We met Chris. We started home brewing with Chris. Chris came over, and then just 2 months after release of Ö, which we released as a Gypsy Brewers, January 2013. Chris moved March 2013, and then 2014 April we opened our own first brewery. So that is very quickly the timeline of Põhjala birth. So yeah, we are founded in 2011. So because that's really it started to take place. You know, it took a while, a year and a half to to give out the first beer though, but that's brewing business.
Yeah, exactly. So what were the hurdles at that time? Like not like the year you opened, like maybe 1 or 2 years after that. And what were the challenges like now towards maybe competition, brewing processes, maybe customer requests or any complaints? Is there any difference then and now?
We are definitely born into happy times that when we opened our brewery, we released our product into very high demand, both locally and very honestly, first at our surprise also internationally. So we started to export very quickly. It made waves without. I mean, it was. We just wanted to be big fish at the small lake, but we became a small fish in a big lake, so which we are very much happy about. So yeah, so we started at the good times. So we that's why we rather quickly set our target to open a bigger brewery, because we are not only pushing Põhjala brand and story, we are actually also like a front runner of the Estonian beer story. I mean, there's so many great brewers from Estonia. Max, many of you have been to Estonia, and you know what is going on here. So it's not just Põhjala. We're proud to be the loudest voice of that movement, and this was very much the motivation to quickly open a bigger brewery, just to see how long that story goes, how far can we go, because financially we're definitely, like, especially nowadays, we opened bigger than we needed, kind of, but with the stainless steel it is smarter to invest into bigger vessels, because long term it pays off. So in that way we tend to think we're smart. We are here in the long run. We're not into the quick buck, and we are still growing into our vessels. And the reason why what we have doing it all is also, like, really, what was the last time you tasted something from Estonia? Food-wise, drink-wise, it's most likely beer. It is very likely Põhjala beer, and this is our kind of responsibility, our pride, and our mission.
Yeah. Yeah, it's before we went live, I have a little chat with Oliver, and I said I studied half a year in Estonia, and at that time, you could see there are a lot of expatriates, like from England, from New Zealand, working there, and you saw in retail shops there's more variety, well, at least in comparison to Germany, and but mostly it was major. It was big brands. It was like Alekok and Saku, and something like this. And yeah, you changed it definitely. You were the first one, right?
I mean, in the first 6 months, opened 4 breweries. We were third, but we all 4 of us, we consider ourselves the first wave. So we really don't like who was the first. There was 4 breweries in very short times that opened. So it was like a kind of a massive wave. And it has been great, really. It's amazing how great beers you can get. There's like a lot of like these independent stores like Beyond Beer, and it's awesome to go there. Often you notice not just a new beer from new brewery, but you might find a new brewery or new cider house. So it's not just beer, cider, small wineries. It's great stuff. It's really people take a lot of pride, and nowadays with all this, there's small like unions, and people exchanging ideas and technologies, and it's very open. We're all competitors, but still, our lab is open to all other small brewers to use.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
so you really share your lab with others. You don't have any.
We are even. We are some Finnish small brewers are our customers. So yeah.
Oh.
Yes, it was actually one of the big things with the lab, is because, like, when we were starting out, like, we wanted to run a load of tests, and it took us so long to try and find where we could do it, and we'd have to send it outside of the country.
We secretly have done tests in big brewers' labs that they don't know. But we didn't want to be like as soon as we were able to afford to have this equipment, we started to share that stuff.
All right, guys. So there are a couple of guesses towards the car. So and
it's a German.
I start with the first one. Wait a minute. Where is it? Where is it? I give it. So I give it to you. Is it this one?
No, no, it's a German guard. That's a.
See, so the Russian one was wrong.
Yeah,
so there's another one. This one?
Oh, we have half of the sentence is correct.
Half is correct. Wait a minute. There's another guy. There's another guy. He has the same brand, but a different. What about this one?
Oh, close, but not. There's one more, guys. There's one more.
Really? So there's even a D. There's even a D.
No, it's Ascona.
But
did I kill the competition too soon? Sorry. It's Opel Ascona. I didn't want to focus too much on the car. It's Opel Ascona, and it's made in the photo is made in the 90s, and it's made of the actually occasion of close friend of ours. So yeah.
But don't worry, we have many more cars that we can get.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, let's head to our next beer, right?
I think so. Awesome. Next stop.
Let's head on. I'll start the next video.
This is a beautiful building. We had a beer festival in there once, the second edition of Tallinn Craft Beer Weekend, TCBW. So now our next stop is the beautiful Kaif, a cocktail bar that happens to sell our awesome lager. They're our great friends, so we're better to sit down and enjoy said lager in our own special joint cups. So this lager is crisp and refreshing. It's kind of like a little bit of sea air, so it seems like a good time to crack one open. It's a light, easygoing beer that should set us up really nicely for the rest of the tasting. I totally understand why Hemingway wrote The Old Man and the Sea now. I feel you, man. I get you.
Awesome.
Big props to your director. So yeah. So yeah, guys. So we're drinking the Põhjala Lager.
Let's go.
That's so. Wait a minute. Another question. So I think it's been asked. A lot of people asked you this a long time, but Põhjala is not 100% correct. How do you spell? How do you say the right?
Põhjala.
Põhjala, right?
Põhjala. That means a northern area, northern realm, like a dark cold land up there. It always has had some mystic feel about it, like a bit mythical feel. So it is actually geographical term that is very often used in Estonian journalism, just without us. But it was back in the Soviet times. There used to be a rubber boot company with the same name, Põhjala. I don't know if it's a funny fact or not, but anyway, I want to stick back to the northern realm and the mythical cool stuff. Yeah, sorry.
No Thor involved, right?
Yeah.
So
Cheers.
I just poured it in my glass. Cheers, and it's pretty clear as it's supposed to, right?
Exactly.
It is a lager beer.
Yeah. I mean, you had a Pilsner before, right? We know that was the Pilki, and the Pilki is of course also a lager, but a Pilsner one. This, I suppose, is not a Pilsner style, right?
No, correct. This is this one is you could say, is it a Pilsner? Is it a Helles? We say it's a Põhjala lager. It's this is our sort of take on the lager style generally. And it's kind of combining everything that we like about all of our favorite lagers, and just trying to make like this super crisp, super sessionable one that, like, it doesn't skimp on the hops. This, by the way, is using all German hops. Tettnang and Hallertau Mittelfrüh are the key ones here, and like you really get the essence of those two hops inside this particular beer. We use them in fairly massive quantities, actually. So yeah, it's even though it's not like a very super aromatic hoppy beer or super fruity compared to the previous one, it's still a quite hop forward beer. There's enough bitterness in there to like make it really have a nice drinkability as well. And it's just very, very straightforward, 4 malts, mostly all Pilsner malts. and then just one nice clean yeast strain. We lager this for a long time as well, and that provides that sort of crisp refreshingness. So this is us doing our very best lager that we possibly can, one that we would like to be drinking at all times.
Has become one of the best sellers at the tap room. I mean, it's nice hot weather out there, and it's also very good companion in our sauna. So it's a great sauna beer too.
Yeah, I think you can pretty much find within the within the whole brewery that this rapidly became one of our favorites.
Johannes.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's somehow shifted a little bit, right? I mean, when the craft beer movement started, well, at least in Europe, not in the US. US started way before. It was always, I mean, it still is, but it's always like lean forward towards IPA-ish style beers, right? And in our opinion, it's now a little bit shifting. Like you have again more West Coast style IPAs, and of course more crushable lagers. Why do you think is this like trend now? Again, going back.
You know, I'm going to chip in a little bit there and say you can see that similarly with the USA. First of all, when you get into craft beer, when you've got all these amazing IPAs, these doubles, these big, massive hop bombs, or these big Imperial Stouts, you're just chasing this flavor. You're like, I didn't know beer could taste like this. There's so much going on. And after a while, then your palate shifts, your flavor threshold shifts, and you're like, if I'm having friends over, like I want to have a really good beer, but I don't want to have to be like thinking about it every sip that I take. And I kind of think that that's what's moved us forward over here. We're really, really looking forward to having a good beer. We don't just want to go back to a macro mainstream beer. We want something with flavor, but we don't necessarily want that to dominate the conversation or anything like that. And I think that's kind of also reflected in what we're all brewing, because we kind of, as craft brewers over here, we got to start, like, you could argue much, much, much earlier than the USA by hundreds of years, but you could also say that we're catching up to them in this last century. And that means that, like, we're learning how to do a lot of things as well. We didn't release our first lager until 2019 when we opened this place, and we've been running for a long time. It took us a long time to learn how to make a great lager and to really appreciate it and have space and time to do it ourselves. And I think that goes for a lot of us brewers here, that we really got into, we all got into this, and we decided, like, this is something that we only want to do if we can do it well. We can do an IPA well, but like a lager might take a little bit more work, which was why we're only starting to see them nowadays.
So basically, we dared to take lager only up here at this brewery when we had the much better technical abilities. And just from a commercial point of view, I'm also adding up that I mentioned earlier that many brewers during the pandemic started to focus more on the home market, while we were the brewery that was exporting 70% of the beer. Now when we were facing only the home market with just like a very hoppy IPAs, we had our fan base and crowd, but we needed to expand it just for the sake of survival, and that's why we also started to to think of the lager idea, and the more we sank into it, the more it grew on us, and then here it is. And really, it actually has seen a very, very good feedback, and we're also meeting with not to be so niche or anything, but like with a perhaps older generation that my summer house neighbors that I have brought them IPA and Virmalist, and they're like out of politeness taken them, but I can see that they don't enjoy them too much, And now I met them, I brought them this, and it's like, holy hell, I'm starting to drink your beer now. You know what I mean? So it's for us, it's also expanding, and they can tell that it is still different. It's still not like just like selling yourself short, but we still feel that we can offer to this beer style something, And for us as a brewers, it's a kind of honor to test ourselves also on these like very classic styles, Not just like, oh, we only brew this, We've never been like these guys, Look at our portfolio. We brew all kinds of beer, We don't really limit ourselves with that, and really restrict ourselves like, oh, we're these cool guys or these guys, We are brewers.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know it, but I mean, if you look maybe just at the flavor profile, of course, when you try an IPA, it's it's like more surprising, maybe for a beginner or something, and it packs a punch and has a lot more flavor. But a lager, a clean, crisp lager, is way more difficult to brew, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's less to hide behind. That's what
Yeah, this is the stuff that many don't know. But I mean, when you have like a really good one, a really like where you say, okay, this is the number one and number two, number three lager in the world. How difficult it is, and of course you have to have like different facilities. Like you have to store it more chilled than a top fermented beer. Longer as well, right? So there are a lot of challenges, and so when you put everything to perspective, it should actually, I don't know, just in my opinion, should cost actually the same as an IPA, or are there other variances? I mean, beside hop.
I mean, you're correct, because that's why I kind of underlined that the longer part that it is actually takes. During the time we make a lager, we could make 2 IPAs.
Yeah.
So from you know, some brewers know very well the thing. You know, the smaller brewer, a successful small brewer, they have to choose very much what they brew, what they use their tank for.
Yeah.
You know, and but again, like anyway, we're proud that we are seeing great comments on the blue little corner of the screen. Anyway, I hope we didn't fail completely in the eyes of Germany. I hope. We're really, I mean, we're sincerely liking the beer. Yeah.
I mean, of course, it doesn't have like the typical stuff that you have in your hop-forward top fermented ales. No citrus flavors, but it's really floral. I wouldn't say it has like a small citrus note, but not too much. Really, just subtle. And it's really crushable. I mean, it's really flavorful. Couldn't complain it. I was last year. I was in Franconia, and definitely can compete with them. So we have a couple of questions. So there's one question. Is it suitable for sauna infusions? Because
okay. Hey, actually, I actually know the. Hey, I know who's asking the question. The sauna we have here at Põhjala is electrical sauna, because we could not have the wooden sauna because of its. We are industrial area. You know, it wasn't allowed by the building restrictions. So here we do not use beer here in the sauna water at all, because of the chimney we have on the stones. But when you would have like a country house sauna, that you have a wooden chimney and you can really throw a lot of beer, the wood water on the rocks afterwards, then it's very nice to put a little bit of exactly this clean lager beer, you know, because then you have this bready flavor. Because actually when you would put a little bit IPA into the steam water, you don't really get that much of the hop flavor. It will just like a burn on the rocks. But actually what you're after when you throw the water on the sauna rocks is that the bready feel. And that's exactly what you get, especially from beer like that. So, Andre, yes.
What was the idea behind like putting a sauna in your tap room? I mean, has it been perceived positively?
No, it's you see, it's putting a big smile on my face, because I'm one of the biggest sauna users probably in the brewery. You know, it's here just by the restaurant. You can rent it, but it's here, and we use it also with the brewers, with the staff very often. So when we have like a Monday when our tap room is closed, it's kind of guaranteed. It's called brewers sauna every Monday night. So, and then you will find the brewers with just towel around their lap and pouring beer by the taps, you know, chilling by the balcony. So this is our privilege. And the reasoning behind this is the steep sauna culture here locally. I mean, Chris moved here in 2013. Today he owns a apartment here in Tallinn with a sauna. So and he bought a new place. So it was his preference. I have a sauna in my apartment. So it's Oliver has a sauna in an apartment. I mean, this is it's we're not bragging here. It's just like everybody has it. We go at least 2 times a week.
So is it like something you have? Is it like your replacement for a shower, or how does it feel? I mean, you have that big flat, right?
It's a religion, kind of. It's our church. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's really you go there, you sit there, you go there with the friends. You know, sometimes you have like a blabbering group, like, but sauna is a place that you feel very comfortable in silence with the good people you have, and you know, the thoughts and the minds are just like circulating through the air. You know, it's like you know, Estonia is one of the least religious countries in the world, but we have one of the biggest number of saunas per person. So that's, I think that's kind of like, that's where we offload, or that's where we, you know, gather. You know, because you go sauna alone, it's kind of sad occasion. Sauna is a group thing, you know. It's like we're group animals, and sauna is one of the best places to spend time with your friends, with beers, and if you felt thirsty about me talking about sauna, just fly to Tallinn. You can rent a sauna at Põhjala. It's comfortable for 6 to 8 people. That's very nice.
Do you have do you torture yourself with birch leaves?
Yeah. Of course. That's actually is right now is the best season to go and make them fresh. They cut them fresh. So what Valdemar is talking about, we go in the woods. We cut the fresh birch, the branches. We stack them up into like a peak branch, and then we whip ourselves like this. We throw water. And you can also do it with a juniper, and then it's a little bit like more demanding, but it's also leaving like your skin like sparkling. Anyway.
Yeah, I was talking. I mean, this is a nice thing and a nice feature in your brewery. I was talking to Max maybe 1.5 hours ago, and he said you have also like a Japanese toilet in your brewery. What about that?
Yeah.
We prize cleanliness. We're big believers in cleanliness.
When we built the brewery, we are in a part that a lot of construction was going on around us. There was a lot of offices built, and the company that was building for us was also building some other offices around, and they had a leftover luxury Japanese toilet. So in one of our toilets, there is a in-office stove. Yeah, it's not the public. It's this Japanese toilet. So that's for the ones who know. I'm not going into detail. If you know, I'm not going more into detail what it does. Google it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's stop here, not to go into more stuff. Yeah. Okay. There's another question. So just for the audience, you can ask the question of course in German language as well. I will translate it then in English. So if you're not capable of do so. I don't have a problem with that. So if you don't know English very well, just say it and just write it down in German. I will translate it to the guys. Don't worry about that. Anyhow, there is another question, and of course, like a follow-up to, well, you change for the canning line. There's a question towards the size of canning lines. So they're between 033 and 044.
Very good question. It's a question about 33 and 44. It's somehow, I would say it's commercially. I mean, there's a reasoning why big macro beer was selling in the half-liter cans. You know, you can just export more liquid in one package. So 44 is a little bit like in a commercial way, it's just like to move a little bit more liquid. And it has become also a big trend among the craft beer community. I feel that it could be also that these big IPAs have been shared. You know, 44 is much better sharing size than 33. Oh, yeah. 33 is like a single use kind of, and 44 is much more better to share. Absolutely. So that's I think why the very big beers are there. But just from commercial side, I think it's also like, you know, you can move. From our perspective, you know, we are also in the belief that that, and also it's actually the many markets have been asking to put our big IPAs into 44 can, that is just more commercial. But our core range, like the Suvila beer and the beer we next gonna taste, is in 33. So we feel that the 33 is for a single consumption. It's good, and then also the beers characteristic for the 33 are in 33. And if it goes into the like a big ABV or more taste, it's in 34. So it's either for the drunks or for sharing.
Well, this is the best explanation I've heard for a long time, because when I talk to people, to customers, to friends, and myself, it's like, okay, I get the reason you put this in a 44-liter cans, because you could crush this more. I would appreciate it in this kind of for this kind of beer as well. But when you go higher, I would tend for myself to have like just a small can, just for me, because sometimes it's too much. But you're right, Peter. It's like everyone is doing 044, and it's just now changing a little bit. You see it from a couple of breweries who are changing their that they're filling their West Coast IPAs or their pilsners in smaller cans. So your explanation makes totally sense.
I personally prefer 33 as a portion.
Definitely. For me as well. I don't want to share.
Very good.
I can do it. I'm a nice guy. Well, I suppose I am. I think for myself, I'm a nice guy, but I don't want to share. I want to drink it for myself. I just want to share if I don't like it. That's another stuff. Yeah.
Such a clearance in my mind now. Thank you.
And there's another comment to this. Yeah, of course you could do two, but once in a while sometimes you are so full and you cannot do any more. Well, nice. So let's head to another beer.
Yeah, it's about time, I think.
Let's go.
So we're actually doing something completely illegal, drinking on the streets. Unlike Germany, this is very verboten. So if you're undercover police watching this, then please turn off your programming right now. And we're not going to do it today, but this is also our swimming place. Next up we have Prenzlauer Berg. This is our super refreshing summer special. It's a Berliner Weisse with raspberry, and we name all of our Berliner Weisses after districts in Berlin. Prenzlauer Berg in this case, Neukölln in other cases, Kreuzberg in another case, because we want to honor the city that we love so much. And we want to showcase that this beer style comes from Berlin, so why not name it after the case? We're in the beautiful Neblesner area for this whole thing. That's where our brewery is located, and it was actually a 100-year-old shipyard originally. So they used to build all sorts of boats, submarines here. Beautiful place, a lot of history. Started by a cousin of Alfred Nobel, I believe it was, and a Russian businessman. So cheers to boats, cheers to sailing, and cheers to keeping that sea spirit alive.
Yeah, cheers.
Hey, I'm late.
Yeah, once in a while you have to go and to get rid of something.
Yeah, that's a good cleanser.
Almost like a sorbet.
Yeah. So yeah, Berliner Weisse. Yeah, it is from Germany, but it's not very popular, right?
It's I've been Marke, our designer, used to live in Berlin, so I've been with him to this German beer stubes, like a regular. I have tasted the Berliner Weisse with the syrup and stuff. So in Berlin. So
yeah, this story with syrup is always it's always challenging when you go to like a normal bar with no fancy craft beer or so on, just regular Berliner Weisse with syrup, and you say, I don't want any syrup. They don't believe you. They think you're fooling them. So tell us something about
syrup on the side. We left it like that. They let us go. Sorry, Please go on.
So, no, don't worry. Tell us something about the beer. How is the how do you get the acidity into the beer? The fruits, are this real fruits? Is fruit puree or aroma? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is we do kettle souring. We're not a wild sour brewery, so we don't use special bacteria and ferment it all the way. We do it all like inside the brew house, and then we boil it so that the bacteria dies and then the yeast works. So we go for like a pretty moderate sourness on this. It's all naturally done with our own special culture, and then basically we just add a whole load of raspberries to it. So when we're brewing on our brew house here, we're brewing 100 hectoliters. We'll use around about 850 kilos of raspberries. I mean, that's what gives it this beautiful color. We just add them straight into the boil, and then that's it. No puree, no extracts, no nothing. Just nice, clean, simple, straightforward raspberries. We also add a bit of lactose to this one as well, which gives it that rich sort of creaminess. It adds a bit of sweetness that, the sourness, it works very, very well. But like if it gets a little too dry, then it sometimes makes it a little harder to drink and doesn't pair so well with the fruits that we like to use. So we think of raspberries and cream. You know, that's kind of what we do with that. And sourness, like it's something that we don't do all that much of, but we play around with certain beers. We've got Orange Gose, which is a Gose style beer. Again, another traditional German style sour with salt, coriander, and a lot of oranges. And in some barrels right behind us, we have another sour beer coming out in the future. A special barrel aged one called Belle Bulle, Beautiful Bubble. And that is aging in champagne barrels and Sauternes barrels, coming out sometime next month, hopefully. And
next month.
So what we think of is the sourness really accentuates a lot of flavors. Just like when you're cooking, when you add a bit of vinegar to sort of your salad, it brings out all the other flavors. So we work a lot with like special Estonian berries or forest fruits, and this particular one behind us is with red currants. This one is with raspberries. The other one, Orange Gose, is with the traditional Estonian oranges, tropical. But we just try and use sourness as a flavor enhancer, let's say.
Yeah. You mentioned lactose. I mean, this is kind of an ingredient that I don't know. It came up also, or at least in Germany, especially what we are reselling. Maybe like 3-4 years ago, and now it's even used in IPAs and other beer styles. Just two questions: like, how do you include lactose into the beer? What is it, like liquid form? Is it like powder, and how do you see this trend, like putting lactose in other beers, as like an IPA to sweeten up the beer?
So for us, then lactose comes in like it's a powdered form. There's basically like a powdered milk sugar is how you can think of it, and we add that during the boiling stage to make sure that it's like sanitary and make sure that it infuses properly into the liquid to make sure it dissolves basically. It's much easier to dissolve a sugar in a boiling liquid than a cold liquid. And for us, we've played around a lot with it in different things. We've had IPAs with it in there. We've had a lot of stouts since almost day one with it. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. It's very interesting to see more and more breweries use it in sort of non-traditional ways, because for the longest time when we were first starting out, then you had a milk stout which was made with lactose, and that was pretty much the only place you would put lactose. So it's good to see an ingredient find like more uses and bring more to the table, because there are beers that just might not have existed without it. So I think it's really interesting personally.
It's all about the moderate usage, the dosage. That like in small part of the game,
Yes, exactly. We talked about can sizes and put your things in cans. We haven't talked about the most general questions I have. Like, I mean, I can imagine why, but maybe other people don't have. Why did you change your mind, or not change your mind, but consider or decided to go to put your beers in cans. I think it's not all beers, right? But a certain beer styles and certain amount of beers put in cans. Why?
When we see beer through the beer bottle, so can see the UV light. When we do talk about the hoppy beers, as we have been speaking almost all the beginning of the night, the hop is so frightened of UV. It starts to dissolve the moment it sees sun. So the more we protect it from that, the longer the beer will taste better. The second thing is that it is so much more better for the whole the world. It has so much less carbon footprint. In that sense, we can put basically almost 40% more liquid on one pallet when we ship out the beer in cans or we ship out beer in bottles. Just more liquid. So the packaging weighs much less. And the little aspect that people don't think of is that actually when you will be melting aluminium later in the process, it is much less energy consuming than the melt glass or all this process. So one of our tour guys in the brewery put it very well. So it was like, when we talk about preserving the Mother Earth, so it's all about the little steps and little things. So he said, basically we all have to eat less meat and drink beer from the can. And for our dark beers and the barrel-aged beers, they will remain in the bottle because it has certain elegance, to it. And these beers are not so much afraid of the UV light. Our waxing program continues. I know some people hate our wax, but we still love it. There's a reason why we would enjoy it, and so on. So the main reason is it's better for it's a win-win-win. It's better for the environment. It's better for the beer. It will be in the end mean also better priced beer for the consumer. So I would say that in 2 years you can't find a craft beer 6% and under in a bottle. It would be all.
Yeah. Was there any negative response?
We still get response even from home market,
Yeah.
So many markets. It is also very interesting because we're exporting to kind of a variety of countries to have understanding. In some countries, you almost can't sell the bottle anymore. So it's definitely more in the up to the side that you can continue kind of if you don't have can. Because the opposition voice, it is not so strong. I mean, it is all up in people's head, because when you start explaining why we did it, then they all say, okay, I get it. And even again, we talk about the summer houses. When you take a beer to the summer house, your 6-pack, even a 6-pack, when you're left with 6 empty bottles, it's much more inconvenient to get them out of your place, or when you're hiking or whatnot.
Yeah.
When you have 6 aluminum cans, it's like, so let's not get, still let's talk about what's inside the container. Let's not talk that much about the container.
Yeah.
Because this container makes the beer better. Let's put it this way, the metallic taste. This is all like a city legend, the from the past.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any taste of metal. It all
you pour it into a glass, it tastes just as good, if not better.
So yeah. From one opposition we had, it's like, okay, the craft beer has, it is now like a mass beer because of being in a can.
Yeah.
So this is one of the oppositions, that is losing its elegance. But again, when we're talking about IPAs, it has to be in the can. It's like a standard.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to hear it from you, because we are trying to persuade everyone that that's the case, what you just told us. But it's always difficult when you sell the stuff, not as a perspective of a producer, but from a retailer or maybe a wholesaler. It's always difficult. There's always a certain amount of skepticism towards this. And when a brewery says this, I mean, there must be some kind of a truth behind it, right? So it's nice to hear it, that this is the case. But is there any? You talked about elegance. Is there any I assume you sell your beer also to certain restaurants who sell your beer, who put it on the menu. how about this kind of switch? Because you said like a bottle, people are more used to it, and then it comes the can, and it's different.
Very honest answer. We started
Yes.
canning 2 months ago. Give me some time to answer that question. But again, and secondly, the restaurants were allowed to be open inside only 2 weeks ago.
Fair enough. My apologies.
So let's see. But overall, I would say like all the like environmental forward thinking people, after 5 minutes explanation, understand why is it happening, and really, you know, the beer bottle has never been treating as a wine bottle in a restaurant in a way like, oh, please, we have this here, like more casually, you know, often poured out before, you know. And like I said, our barrel aged beer always remains in that elegant bottle that you can present as a wine bottle, and, you know, warm up the wax and all that story, you know. So when you order 2 IPAs in a restaurant, it's usually brought to you in a glass anyway.
Yeah, I get it.
Brought to you in a bottle. So again, like, let's not get too stressed over a container.
Yeah.
But again, inside of the, again, like, because if the lamb meat arrives in the restaurant, nobody cares in what was the paper on the carton. It's important that it has remained at the right temperature for the right time and all that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all about the taste still.
But speaking of that, now is a perfect time to remind you that the final beer that we're going to have, the birthday banger, the bottled beer, that one you should take out of the fridge. We recommend to serve that in 12 to 16 degrees.
Exactly. So if it's still in the cold, please take it out. Put it between your thighs.
Yeah, nice mention about that. Exactly. That's too heavy to have it, too good to have it ice cold. Let's head towards some questions. So you talked about ingredients using in the Prenzlauer Berg. There's the audience member who asked this question. So spelled.
So with the spelt, then we kind of feel that just adds this sort of like slightly creamy, slightly interesting citrusy note. The flavors that we get from that malt, and it's a locally grown one. It's a very small farmer who basically drops it all off himself. We love the malt so much that we kind of wanted to use it in to be perfect. But we just felt that it really complemented the whole idea of this, because it has that little bit of like fresh citrus. It has that little bit of creaminess, and those are flavors that are coming from other ingredients anyway. One thing that we always try and do with our beers is we try and layer flavors. You know, if we're using a particular hop, like, and only 1 or 2 hops, we want to try and use them in multiple stages or in multiple forms to try and really get the character of that hop out of there. And in much the same way, then we know what flavors we want here. We want to try and layer this and this and this, so that you're not just like getting, think of it in terms of music. You're not just getting like one element, but you're getting like a whole band playing the same tune. That's kind of how we like to approach our recipe development, is to really play it in that sort of way. And it's also, I would love to say that normally Spelt can give pretty good head retention and great foam and everything, but this is a sour beer, and sours are very difficult to get good foam on. So. But it's also because it's a great like twist on using wheat, which we use in other beers as well. This is just a fun way of playing around with it.
Yeah. I have a personal questions for you guys. You launched a couple of beers and a couple of completely new ones, and you launched Helge, a New England style gluten-free pale ale. Is it correct?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So all beer style and everything aside, gluten-free. How do you achieve it that what the beer is gluten-free actually, and that the people who is quite sensitive towards gluten can drink it like without any care?
So we're pretty careful about that. We've released in our history only 2 gluten-free beers as well. There's a lot of breweries that do it like for many things, but we want to focus and be sure that we're delivering something that's not only a great beer, but also is like as safe as we can possibly make it. So the other one, by the way, is Gimme Danger, an Imperial Stout, 10-ish% gluten-free. With both of those beers, then we're starting out from the very basics, which is the malt bill. You know, obviously barley has got a lot of gluten in there.
That's Helga. he had it before he stepped in here.
Yeah, so barley contains quite a lot of gluten. Wheat contains a lot of gluten. Oats, however, are naturally gluten-free, and many other grains or pseudo-grains can be as well. So we try and build a large percentage of the fermentable sugars out of ones that naturally contain no gluten. Gimme Danger, we used a malted buckwheat, which is a pretty unique grain. It's very rarely used, very niche. And this particular one, loads and loads of oats in different form. And on top of that, then we're also we're using a particular enzyme that breaks down gluten formation, so that like whatever is formed is just removed. The yeast absorbs it back and then drops it out. But it's an extremely delicate situation because this is a health thing. So we send these beers out for a lot of testing.
Double testing, always double testing.
Yep. And it takes, as a result, these beers take significantly longer. Like this one, Helga, this took almost as long as a lager. This took around about 6-7 weeks or so until we were totally satisfied that it's gluten free, below the threshold we can do.
And just to be, correct on terms, in European Union you can call a product gluten free when it contains 20 milligrams or less gluten per kilogram, while in our beer this digit is 16, meaning it's another like 5% or even more, 10%, 15% below the bar. And again, we always double test because the big market for us is our brothers up north in Finland, and in Finland and Estonia, both the gluten intolerance is a little bit like not the fashion thing, but it's also a bit of a genetic thing, and it's also a fashion thing. So it's fine. There's quite the market. And the Gimme Danger gluten-free stout that Chris mentioned, we brewed it first time, I think 3 years ago. We planned it to be one-off beer. We were pointed out by a guy that we met that there's no gluten-free stouts. Everybody has a gluten-free pale ale or something, so there was no stouts around. And now it is actually in our line for 3 years running. It is listed in several stores in the Netherlands and in Finland. So it has found its steady place in the gluten-free market because it's a big number of people who follow that diet, and there's a special stores, and there you go. So there's a market for it, and it's not just a fashion thing. There's a lot of our friends have asked for it. So
and something else actually that I could say is it kind of lines up with the lager of trying to make some beers that are a bit more like trying to make ourselves more accessible to people. So we have the gluten-free one. We have a lager for your non-necessarily craft beer drinking friends. And this one here, Prenzlauer Berg, we actually have Prenzlauer Berg Zero, which is an alcohol-free version as well, because we've started like getting into things like this. So
yeah, there is a great follow-up question. You just mentioned it, Chris, but yeah, there's a great follow-up question. How do you put out the alcohol?
That's
we don't let it in.
Yeah, basically we don't need to de-alkalize because we don't allow it to get that much.
All right.
It's always when you're removing something, you're going to remove other things as well. We looked long and hard into different methods of making non-alcoholic beers, and for this particular one, then we brew it again, much like with our hazies. We brew very similar to any other beer. So this is brewed identically to the Prenzlauer Berg Zero, except the wort that we're making is naturally very unfermentable. So it ferments just enough to have some ABV, it's around about 0.3 ABV, and then that's it. We've tested, of course, to make sure that
it's alcohol-free beer is tested on every level.
Yeah. We know that there's no risks going on over there, and yeah, but we believe that the better choice is just to make a beer that is just extremely low ABV, than make a full strength beer and strip out a lot of it through these methods. that's our perspective anyway. We have the luxury to be able to do that.
Yeah, I had it. It's really lovely. It's like a nice after work beer, and you can still drive home. Something like this. And going back to the Helge, I had it, and blind tastely, I wouldn't tell that there is something missing in the beer. Like it's like it's exactly as it's supposed to be. When you put out gluten free, it's a New England Pale Ale, and it is what it is. So
this exactly. There is nothing missing. Like, very. Thank you for that comment. And this is also what we're very proud of our Imperial Stout. The Kimi Danger is the same. When you taste it, you wouldn't think it's something, like missing something. It's just a great beer. And then, like Chris said, it's just like there are people that are, unfortunate situation, and then we'll make them to be part of our game.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So what do we have? We have over 1 hour, and we're still 2 beers to go, and 2 heavy ones, definitely, 2 really strong ones. I hope some of you guys who are watching this are sharing their bottles, because it's quite challenging. I think we don't want it to have like overtime here, but yeah, let's switch to the next beer, and I'll show up you the video.
Awesome.
And now our tour continues. Let's move on to our next spot. And now for my next trick, I will make Albini appear. This is, speaking of Berlin, this is a collaboration hazy double IPA with our best friends from Berlin's favorite brewery, Fuerst Wiacek. This is the second beer that we brewed at our place with Lukas and the team, and we're really excited for you to be some of the first in the world to be tasting it. This is it's a hazy double IPA, and we wanted to go in German tradition with over 50% wheat malt in there and a load of experimental hops. So, not much more to say about this. Let's drink it, let's enjoy it. Beautiful beer, and a massive tribute to our friends over in Berlin. Go check them out as soon as you're able to.
All right, welcome back.
No need for apologies. Everything's fine.
We're enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I next time I need to have like as you do. I have to have a co-host with whom I can with whom I can share this stuff, because I gladly have to drink it by my own. I like it. Cheers.
Again, no need to share.
You're not sharing. No need to apologize about that.
Cheers.
Cheers. And
yeah, we're drinking the Albini, and yeah, it's a collaboration. I mean, again, let's proceed as we did before. What is the approach towards the double IPA? I mean, you call it a double IPA. You call it at least it stays it says on the can, but you also say it's like a hazy double IPA. Let's put this aside and say, well, what's the difference between like now this beer and the Suvila, which is like also a hoppy beer but with low IBV. I think also a little less hops. Yeah.
Yeah, around about half as many hops in Suvila as this particular one. So we basically, as the name describes, double IPA versus an IPA. You are just used for a lot of it. You're just using double the ingredients. So we used a load of malt in this. We filled up the mash tun because the more sugars you're pulling out from the malt, the more fermentability and the more alcohol. But we still wanted to keep the same sort of like sweetness level roughly, but balance it out with a bit more hops in there to keep the drinkability high. We fermented this one actually with the same yeast as the Suvila, so you can kind of get an idea for what the same yeast in a different beer is doing, and just a load more dry hops in this one. Hence the much more aroma coming out of the glass. We should be getting a sort of tropical candy bowl coming out of there. And for our double IPAs, we don't do them. We try and do them as often as we can, but we want to keep everything like fresh and not have beers that are sitting on the shelves. So we kind of pick and choose when we want to do them. And this particular one was a great chance for us to try out some of our favorite hops: Citra, Simcoe, and a brand new one from one supplier, HBC 630, which has got these sort of really intense tropical fruit flavors. We're one of the first breweries in Europe to be using this hop actually, and it was really interesting for us to kind of step outside of what we normally would be using and just play with something new, add a new color to our paint box effectively. And on this one as well, we brewed it with, as I said in the video, it was over 50% wheat, because we kind of wanted to see, like, where many of us doing these styles of IPAs, we're using a lot of wheat or we're using a lot of oats, and it becomes a bit of a contest, like, oh, who can use the most of this. And then we were thinking, like, well, German breweries have been trying this for years. A traditional Weiss beer, like, it should be at least 50% wheat. So we kind of wanted to hark back to that a little bit and see, like, what could we do? Can we actually match what people have been doing there for hundreds of years? And if so, what effect will it have on the hop character and everything? So yeah, this was our attempt at just trying out a few new things, which is one of the great things that we have with we've known Lukas and the team and Fuerst Wiacek back from 2015 or so, when he came to intern at our brewery for a little bit, and just have this.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay, well, new trivia question.
Lukas was actually, over the years now, we've been lucky to have many young new talents come by, and Lukas was very first to come to visit us for a few weeks in 2015, and it was awesome time, and then this friendship was founded, and hopefully we got some spirits and know-how from Brewdog, we've been able to pass it on. And, it's like just anyway, it's a great story, our friendship, and so he's been around in the European brewing since as long as we have been, basically.
Yeah, and it's a great exchange, because we're all trying different things. So he asked us how we're doing stouts when a few years back. We're asking him a bit more in the last few years how he's doing IPAs. We're just always exchanging knowledge, and
And I want to add up also the little side of how it happened is that it's a real collaboration. Luckily, as we have been communicating here now, is we have been making now a few collaborations over the Zoom, Zoom collaborations as we call them. But they have been still real collaborations, because as we're doing it now, we were all missing so much of the social life of the brewing, and then the craft beer. So the collabs as well, been just missing our friends and exchanging the ideas and brewing together and this vibe, So at least we try to do it through the screen. So we're not just sitting still. We're not sitting duck. So we're still trying to live life like it used to be, and just carry on the torch, and it will just come back. It is back.
Yes, this you say it right. It's like. People have been struggling a couple of years and the last year, and this social thing is important, and you see it now that is really important, and beer somehow connects, right? Mm-hmm. So and it's nice to hear that you are somehow sharing your expertise to other ones, and you're not like closing yourself and saying, okay, that's our thing, and we don't want to share any know-how we have to other people, because sometimes I see it, and it's just, of course, the domestic market, and not everyone. I don't want to include everyone, but there are some people who are, don't want to share their stuff with other breweries. And this is my follow-up question for you guys. Peter, you said it at the beginning. There are a lot of breweries now in Estonia. I mean, I know for myself there are a lot of breweries, and yet you are like quite a small country. I mean, you have like 2.2 million inhabitants. It's almost nothing.
1.3.
Oh, even less.
So, with Slovenia, you mentioned the population.
Yeah, it's almost not. It's almost nothing. It's like the city of Cologne, something like this. So, and yet you have like alone in Tallinn, a lot of breweries. There is in Tartu another brewery. There's locally like nearby.
About 50 craft brewers.
Yeah. How do you manage? How is the I don't say the relationship towards it? Are you like is it mostly friendly? How is the competition? Do you see that more?
It's a friendly competition. We are active. The Põhjala, we are very active in the. There's a thing called Small Brewers Union here in Estonia, and I think I think almost all small brewers are part of it. And first of all, there are annual meetings, there are monthly meetings, so there's a message groups, and all kinds of we're exchanging ingredients. We are often like reaching out to others, like we're short of this, and so this level of like a lending, and also we are pulling off the festival. I think it's the beginning of July. We're 2nd and 3rd of July. We have Estonian Small Brewers Union Festival, which will be held in small scale in the local city market. So this is an awesome place that no matter how big or small you are, you have 2 taps. Everybody is looking the same, and then there's like it's very popular. So on top of our TCBW, it's very international. We have this like a smaller, a little bit like a village or market type of beer festivals happening also around these. So this Small Brewers Union is active, and kind of. Everybody is praising the story of Estonian beer at their best knowledge and abilities.
Yeah, and friendly competition in this way is fantastic, because I mean it means that you're always kind of pushing yourselves. Like, you're looking at your friend's beer when they bring you a 6-pack, and you're like, God damn, this is good. How does he do that? How can I make this as good as she's doing? It's all this thing going on. Whereas you're not like dismissing them. You're keen to explore more about the scene, and a rising tide, as we say, like lifts all boats. And it's this way over here, because if it was just us and another brewery all working independently, craft beer in Estonia would never be where we are right now. We'd never be there.
Absolutely, it's a strong voice. It's a strong voice, and we know it's heard around the borders, and we just want to boost it, and it's our pride thing. It's we're not famous for many things, and we just want to make that thing big, and people are very enthusiastic. And one small thing, you asked like, how is it that so many brewers? Ironic, the Soviet times, because back then there was a shortage of a lot of things. People are used to make stuff at home. Is it the wine, beer, jam, pickled vegetables? It's like this homemaking is in the blood and passed on from the generations. We're very proud of our forest series when the knowledge is kept from the forest. But it's like a forest is like our medicine cabinet, like a pharmacy. So all this knowledge is passed from the generations because of the lack of luxury of having an alternative, so to say. So the very basic knowledges have kept also the procedures, how to brew or distill or pickle. So it is widely done. It's not like a fashion trend. It is everyday life for generations. Not everybody, but all the farmhouses have the cellars. So that's where the cellar series name comes from. That's like to keep our cellar series beers, for a few years. So, and those cellars are actively full of home wine, pickles, mushrooms, you name it, sauerkraut, So this is all happening, and the beer making when it happened was like a natural, People are handy and they are willing to take these procedures on and learn them thoroughly.
Yeah, this was also the advantage of the pandemic. If you could name one, I mean, people started to do stuff at home again, like fermenting stuff, baking bread, and so on. You could feel it. In Germany here, you couldn't. There was not able to get yeast in the retail store because everyone was doing bread at home, and it's like a great stuff. Like you again, not just buying ready meal prepped for you, but you do for yourself something, and you could do it the same way with beer. I mean, just some vessels, some yeast, some hops, some malt, and let's go on.
That's the thing. The brewing, all that what you mentioned is fun stuff. Like one day, and then starts the fermenting. You know?
No. I brewed myself at home. It's horrible, to be honest. It's a lot of cleaning, and I don't like it. Not a fan of that. Yeah, let's put let's get aside from that and put to another perspective. It's my personal question, and of course, the question I've faced a lot in the past. Again, do you feel the pressure, like in this whole Untapped and also like the craft beer movement, to come up always with new beers?
Honest answer is yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Because I mean, we every day we talk with our partners, you know, and you know, sometimes, you know, the ordering decisions are made on the not sometimes, it's often, you know, also the consumer, the shop owner, the distributor, you know, everybody is also looking at these ratings before they make a decision when they have a choice. So definitely it's a very strong voice in terms of beer business. So it is a little bit like how to say, important. It's important. It's an important thing. But the thing is that we are not brewing beers that, like, you know, oh, okay, we brew that to score that, you know. We're just saying, like, we take this in account, you know. I'm you know, head of sales, but I do not have Untapped on my phone because, you know, it would just, like, you know, I'm glad that my colleagues fill me in about important, but I was just like, I know I would be on it, and it would, like, you know, kind of suck up my life, you know, and fuck up my night or whatever. I'm bad, you know. I'm like, I'm too, like, you know, too fragile for that shit.
Yeah. I mean,
it's important. We of course we take this in account, and we read about the comments. Sometimes you get the good feedback, you know. I don't know. It's I don't know what to say. Like, Chris, take on. I'll think a little what to say next. So.
No, I can switch over. I mean, I totally understand it. Untapped has a lot of positive things because there's a lot of features where you can spread the stuff you have to the world, and people can have access to data and metrics. And there's also a lot of bad stuff because typically, like, certain beer styles are rated worse than other, although they are not. And so there's always a balance between, like, okay, I like because this is there where it is at the moment, and there's also stuff where you say, okay, maybe we have to judge it a little bit different.
Exactly. What I want to say now is that you always have to take Untapped with a little bit pinch of salt. You know, you have to know the game. When they say for a IPA, you know, 3.9 is good, you know. For the stout, 4.1 is good, or I don't know. You know, like, there's a different standards for different beers, so you have to kind of understand it, and it's like, again, pinch of salt and patience, which don't have. So other people read it. So it's not driving our decisions. It's not driving our life, but we take it in account.
Okay, nice to hear. Nice to hear it. Okay, let's head to the questions. There are a couple. So first of all, you somehow also answered it already, but not quite yet. How do collabs work?
That's a very good question. Thank you very much. We are taking it's a collaboration. It's a little bit like a celebration of friendship. It's not just the exchange of ideas and knowledge, but it's only happening for us. We tend to brew with the people we have met at the festivals. We have we go home and we feel warmly about them, and then we, like, kind of, like, you know, invite over, and, you know, but we have a base. You know, we have a base for friendship, and it's a celebration of friendship, which is happening between like-minded people who happen to brew good beer. So we're not like, you know, like, okay, this is very good. like picking on like, you know, I don't know, on tap ratings, you know. It is always happening on the personal level for us. So we don't write out, and also we don't, if people write sometimes, we just like say like we want to flirt before we go to bed. I mean, I'm sorry, this is a chauvinist thing to say, but you know what I mean. Or Chris, what do you want to add?
No, I mean it's absolutely true. Like we kind of feel that we're not cold calling and saying like just going through the phone book saying, hey, let's do a collab. We want to work with our friends. It's as simple as that, because we also believe that this friendship, this celebration, it results in better beers, you know, because you're sweating it out a little bit more. You're kind of like, you have this sort of natural banter going on when you're talking. You know, you're riffing off of ideas that you've talked about maybe 6 months ago at the last festival you were at together. You've had time to think about it. You're a lot more in sync, and that results in something that is a better, more finished product, I think.
I mentioned the Baltic Porter, a little like discussion between the Polish and the Estonian brewers. So to celebrate this discussion or dispute, we collaborated with our friends at Pinta Brewery. They came over to Tallinn and we brewed a beer called Baltic Pride, which would be just like, you know, to celebrate the beer itself, you know, the Baltic style, you know, that we're talking about, the Baltic beer between Estonia and the Polish brewery. You know, that was the first time it happened, and happened in a beautiful beer. And you know, it wouldn't have happened without this little dispute that we already had with our Polish part, because our Polish distributor is a part of the Pinta, so it always has been a little bit like a kind of discussion, really. Yeah. Baltic Porter is ours, Baltic beer is ours, not like, hey.
And the thing there as well is like, this all tied into what the beer was, so it had a concept, because, you know, we were like, we talked more and more and more. We're always like jeering at each other a little bit, like, oh yeah, you're the home of Baltic Porter. No, you're the home of Baltic Porter, you know. And then we were like, well, actually, when we're describing Baltic Porter to each other, it's almost like they're two different beer styles. So like we each have our own approach to it. So for this particular one we did with them, then we were like, what would happen if we put the two together? You know, what is like this conjoined twin of Baltic Porterness? So, you know, we were able to play on an idea that we've like had growing in our minds like for years since we've been talking with each other, and it just led to a beer that was really interesting, because, you know, you had our side, you had their side, and then we could blend in the barrel mix of some of it being aged in bourbon barrels beforehand as well. It was just like, it resulted in a way more interesting beer, because it's one thing just to send out an email and say, oh yeah, let's do a collab, this beer with this hops. But like when there's meaning and concept and everything behind it, then the execution is just like, it's just multi-layered and it's way more complex.
We take our collabs very seriously.
That's a wrap up. Yeah. Yeah. Another question that's more like focused on the beer. It's like about carbonation of beers.
Good question. We kind of feel that with I agree with the latter point there. That is it a trend? It absolutely is. And this is something that we kind of only really leaned into ourselves maybe 2 years ago or so. But yeah, these bigger, much more like fruit juice forward double IPAs, triple IPAs, even regular IPAs. People have started carbonating them a little bit more. And at first, to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical, but the results speak for itself in my opinion. It's kind of, it just carries that hop character forward a little bit more, because you're not like the carbonation, the CO2, it's not like scrubbing the aroma out from your mouth as soon as you drink it. It lingers on the palate just a little bit more. So I think it's down to personal taste, but these end up being a little bit more juicy, a little bit more fruit forward when they're on the lower side of carbonation, especially compared to some things like a West Coast IPA or such. For reference, this is carbonated around about the same as what we would do for some of our stronger dark beers, because again, we want those flavors to really kind of linger and last in the beer. Yes. That's exactly what we want from these sort of.
But that's the point. You perceive it in an IPA a little bit different. I think that's the point. It's like There's another question, and yeah, Chris.
No, just this is on purpose. Just.
All right. Okay, great. There's another question, and as you guys, I assume, are not untapped, I am. I can maybe answer this question.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, please.
So, this is actually my daily driver porter. It's your Mustkult. Although it is 7.8. Am I correct this time with an ABV?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I don't want to play myself second time. This has 3.78, I think, and on tap 3.78. That's ridiculous.
So I didn't even know.
Yeah. See, so I just checked it up. I didn't know it like just in memory. I just checked it on my phone. So 3.78. That means it's an okay beer. But to be honest, this is like a hell of a beer. This is one of when you look at our best sellers in our retail stores, this is one of the best sellers.
Thank you.
So how come that this is one of the best sellers and it's still so well, relatively not bad, but like low rated? So this is I don't get it. I don't get it because it's so flavorful yet not like over 10%. It's not watery yet really chocolatey and flavorful. It's so smooth. A hint of coffee notes. I assume this is from your core range. Let's put it like this: the stuff you always brew, not just once in a while.
No, because what we have noticed with some beers is that when they have a very, very wide distribution, very wide like a rating base, then these things tend to happen. Mustkult is a beer that we have been brewing since day one, basically. It's been our core range. It has changed the label a little bit. There's a reason for that, but the inside of the bottle never changed. And okay, I'm back talking myself. I just said, I don't care about. But the thing is that you remember rate beer? There used to be a rate beer, right? So and again, whatever brewers say about it, everybody reads about it when it comes out, So Mustkult, 2-3 years ago, it was again. That was the time I was really heavily looking at it. 2-3 years ago, it was in the top 20 of the world porters on the rate beer. So maybe it is a little bit like more because rate beer guy is a little bit different guy than untapped guy. Are you agreeing or not? Or
yes.
It's a little bit different guy. Maybe taking a little bit more time. Maybe letting the beer to warm up. Maybe untapped guy is such a chaser that he doesn't really even get the Mustkult yet when he's already tapping in the rating. That it's because really Mustkult has to be 12 degrees or up. I mean, I like my Mustkult room temperature basically.
Yes.
So that's I think this beer reveals all its honey and layers and the creaminess and all the beauty we have layered up there. So I don't know. Answer to the question, I don't know, but I agree it's underrated. So. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's rate it up.
Totally agree. It's weird, but I mean we have to adapt to it because it's there. So you can be angry about it sometimes, but you have to accept it that there is it's a valid platform. Yeah.
And anyway, if you're talking about let me just take opportunity. I don't know if maybe it's a silly thing even to say, but we're also proudly brewers say we have never, like I said, we've never taken a focus on it, but never manipulated anything to do anything to boost our ratings or do anything about it. This is life. Why I'm saying I know I'm no rumors, but it's not always the case. Brewers are taking advantage of it. So this is a policy. None of our people rate our beers. None.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know about all the brewers, but what do you rate our beers under Untapped?
Yeah. There are different kind of personalities who do so what you said and you do not. Definitely, I know a couple. You definitely know a couple from what you say. Fair enough. I mean, when you brew a beer and you narrate it well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have to be convinced when you brew a beer, right? I mean, but also honest to yourself.
we're talking about it, all set out, all clear. Let's
Yeah. Going back to a little bit. I have another question. I wrote it down myself before we started the live tasting. Maybe a little bit late, but I just wanted to chip in this stuff. There are a lot of new hops coming out. Like we've never heard before. You named one of them what's really cryptic, like H630. But there are some who have a specific name that came out in the last year, something Strada and Zabro. How is it for a brewer when there is something completely new, not just maybe hop-wise, but maybe something like yeast-wise, Quake? This is like a topic I have in my mind. Is it like exciting? Okay, I can do something new, or say like, shit, I have to deal with something new?
I'm just walking in. Chris is a very humble guy, but we are very, luxury to be part of the hop harvest for now, like 4 years running now. We've been inviting at the right time to Oregon, and so with certain farmers, and then Chris is getting a lot of input about the new stuff, what's coming, what's good this season or not. But I'll let the maestro talk.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's to be honest, it's always extremely exciting to see what's going on, because I mean, sometimes it's like a new hop, for example, they're going to take it up in such small increments. So you might get only one brewery in Europe is going to get to try this thing out 1 year. The following year, it might be like 10 or so in small scale. And then you might get other trends like new yeasts, new different ways of brewing such like that. And we really jump at a lot of these chances, especially on beers like collaborations, because, we operate in, like, a lot of our friends are really, really excited as well, just as we are, in trying out new things, in exploring and breaking new ground, in not being like the ones to try it out in 5, 6, 7 years when it's like already going off the track. So it's kind of fun because, again, I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like having another color in your paint box, another tool in your tool shed. It just like, it allows you that much more freedom. For example, Johannes earlier was saying that this Albini is like super strong in the pineapple. It's like just pineapple. And that's a really, really good thing, because this is a character that maybe could work in many other beers. But until you brew that one beer, first of all, to try out how it works for you, because it'll work differently for everyone, then you never truly know. And it's just like, and it's just really, really fun to be a part of that whole conversation as well, because, this is a thing that like a lot of other breweries are going to be trying out. So I wouldn't say that we're worried about, oh no, this is something new we have to test out. It's more like over here, we're kind of like, we're chomping at the bit, we're bursting. Like, when can we try it out? When can we brew with it?
Yeah.
We're always hassling our suppliers. Like, okay, we've heard you sent this to this friend here. When can we get some? So yeah, there's so much untapped potential left in the brewing industry, and a lot of it coming from ingredients.
So how does this communication, or maybe production stream or come up, like when there is a new hop? Who's contacting you, or are you contacting like maybe some hop provider or something? How does this come up? Do you have contracts, or how does this work?
We have contracts for the majority of what we use on a day-to-day basis, but a lot of it, like the new stuff, then it'll happen at festivals, or it'll happen over at this harvest where you're walking through the fields, and they'll be like, okay, we think this, and this are going to become hops we'll use in the future. We've got like 1 keg of this, 1 keg of this, 1 keg of this. Taste it, see what you think, and like, do you get excited about it the same way we do? And then that it's a bit of like a bit of a waiting game, because if you really love it, then you probably have to wait another 2 years until they have enough that you can use. But no, we're not the ones who are kind of like just waiting to be contacted. We're kind of always looking out for what's new and trying out new stuff, because I think a lot of the suppliers of ingredients and that they're just as excited as we are about what they can bring to the brewing industry. And it really, really helps, because they know then that like they can give it to someone who will just put it in some random beer, or they can give it to people like us, people like Fuerst, Wiacek, who will be like, shouting about it and really proud to say, hey, we're using this, we're using this. It's win-win. It's win-win.
I just want to interrupt that. Sometimes we get these pleasant surprises that we get offered these experimental hops, and again, very humbly saying, offered because they know that we're gonna make something of it. We're not just gonna blend it into some beer we have. They know we're gonna make new beer out of it. We're gonna use the collab, or we make it shine.
Yeah, and it's the same with other things, and that's why it's important to keep like great relationships with our suppliers. For example, these champagne barrels, when we got offered them, it wasn't a case of me saying, "Hey, I'd like these. When could we get them?" It was our great friend in the barrel world, Marco. He wrote to me and said, "Chris, I've got this many champagne barrels. I've kind of reserved you like 20. How many do you want? All of them?" Because he knows that we're interested in playing with this sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know? And to an extent, it's kind of a trust thing, because we haven't really had beer, maybe a beer using these hops or using these barrels before. But our suppliers know what our beers are like, and we know that they know what we like. So it just kind of works out so nicely because we all know each other well enough.
We send them very often. We send the package back to the suppliers of the barrels, so they could distribute to the liquid makers. So just want to give the feedback as well. What happens to their barrels, just to keep that cycle alive. We've been because there are still some cognac makers who burn their barrels.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Just want to share the taste. I mean, this is my taste. I want to share with the world.
All right.
Yeah.
Could talk forever on this topic, to be honest. But we want to not like wrap this up. We still have a really tough and I hope flavorful beer I've not yet tried to come. So let's head towards the last one, right? So here's your video.
And this is where we skate. Yeah.
You a skater, man?
Absolutely. Skate to work and back every day. So we went over the hump, and now we go down again. And we're just behind this building here. Another chimney. And we're back again. This is the brewery. It's almost like we never left. Maybe we never did. Maybe this was all part of the brewery. The only way to find out is to come with us. Come visit. Now our final beer, and the only one in bottle, is Birthday Bänger. You might know our Bänger series where we put loads of fun ingredients in a massive Imperial Stout. Well, for this one we did one extra special ingredient, and it's on the label. We've left a little space here so that you can write a little message to whoever you want, taking care of all your birthday worries. This is a gift for anyone. So, let's write something. Let's see how this works.
Ooh, I like that. Like that. Just enough to give it a little flavor. All right.
And that's us. Now back to the studio, and let's keep enjoying these delicious beers. Cheers, guys. Prost.
Hey.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the greetings. I consider myself as a die-hard Pohjala fanboy. So maybe I was not the best guy to do this tasting, but I pretty much like everything you do, guys. So you said this is your Bänger series, and of course you do, like with coconuts and so on, you put a lot of stuff inside and to flavor up this Imperial Stout. Again, let's jump in. How is the process behind this making this kind of a strong beer with 12.5%?
Valdemar, can I just walk in for a moment about the Bänger series?
Oh, sure.
Bänger series, we have been always using the 12.5% Imperial Stout as a base beer. We are seasoning according to the whatever feel or theme we have on hand. And it was always to create the beer that would not be that dependable on the barrel. So you can see it also in the price of the beer, that is not as pricey as the cellar series. So it was to create the affordable Imperial Stout that would have like an experience of a cellar beer, close to the cellar barrel aged beer as possible, without using a barrel. Just okay. So that is the Bänger concept.
Okay, now
Back to the brewer.
Yeah, and birthday Bänger. This is one where we kind of wanted to just explore this rich flavor and sort of extravaganza of a birthday party. Not to celebrate our own birthday, but to allow everyone else to celebrate with everyone else. So this one is brewed with loads and loads of chocolate, loads and loads of cacao. The chocolate actually coming from Berlin, from one of our favorite suppliers over there, Belizeum chocolate from Belize. We're using a load of vanilla, we're using tonka beans, and then there's just a little hint of like a fruit in there as well. So the aroma should just be this rich, decadent chocolate cake on the nose, and then you take a sip, and it's just like you're biting through that frosted layer, and all of that like little textured vanilla cream on the side, and you just get this rich, cakey mountain of joy. Basically, it's hard for me to describe because this is all the flavors that I would love to have someone bake me for a cake on my birthday. But yeah.
yes, I would also add, like, everything you said on point. I would also add, like, when you drink it, you have this kind of an almond-like taste, and that's the tonka bean, right?
Almost marzipan-y.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's lovely, and with the right temperature, it's perfect. To be honest, I haven't stored it cold yet. It was just room temperature. I don't need it cold. No, it's like here. I don't know. It's like 2022. I don't care. It's fine now.
Yeah. That's one thing we definitely feel like with this. I mean, for a lot of these, we put the serving temperature on there, but if you start serving this at 16 degrees, then by the time you finish this glass, it's going to be 22, 24, and that might not be a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, we keep these at that temperature. We drink them at that temperature as well. Our brewery, our tap room, we even built like a separate cold room just for the dark beers, so that we could serve them at these warmer temperatures right off the glass, right off the tap. So
all right.
And whenever you get our beer in bar, for example, in cold, whatever, just like warm it up with a few moments with your hands, and it will just taste much better. So we can't stress enough how important it is to drink them at the warm temperature. Mm-hmm. I hope everybody has, because it's rather warm. I hope in Germany too.
Yeah, it's lovely. This is the kind of stuff I mentioned in the beginning. It's a sipper, and so but I mean, I don't need like 4 or 5 different beers. If I have a cozy evening, I'm enjoying myself. This just one beer, and it's perfect. You don't need anything else. This is like the perfect sipper. And I mean, you guys are known for your dark ones. I mean, especially, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you consider yourself differently, but you are very well known for your cellar series and your Bänger series, your dark stuff, your rich one, really roasty one, like pitch black, like this one. You described your Bänger series, deriving from this to your cellar series. What is the biggest challenge like when you do a dark beer and you put it in casks? What's the biggest challenge there?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that we have is just like, it's knowing when is the right time to release these sort of beers. Because barrels, there's a lot of hype at the moment about like this long time in it, this long time, but sometimes longer time isn't necessarily better. Sometimes it can be better with a bit shorter time, but you never quite know when is the optimum time to pull it out of a barrel.
Yeah.
It kind of comes with a bit of experience, but like you leave it too long and it just starts tasting of whiskey. You leave it not long enough, and it might not have carried enough of that oaky spirit flavor into the beer. So You know, I would say working with barrels, that's one of our biggest challenges, to be honest.
And Chris is talking about the long term, the taste. There's a challenge already putting beer into barrel, because they often arrive, you know, from other continent. They've been in the containers, so they've been dried up. You know, wood starts to get smaller when it's dried up. So there's a lot of procedures before we put beer into barrel. So that we steam it, and there's also like there's a ways that you have to steam it the way that you don't lose too much flavor. So that, oh my God, there's so much work with this before even you get it into beer, you know, and then the challenges Chris was describing. So but it's all fun and we love it. So apologies when this beer sometimes feels very expensive. I mean, guys, we are not making so much money out of it. It is more fun part, because we pay hundreds of euros these barrels, and for every batch that you drink, we have lost about 5% of the barrels of the batch because of bacteria or whatever, you know, the beer will fell through. So it is not so easy. Sorry to kind of grumble maybe the beauty of it, but that also I wanted to give a little reality touch, the not so glamorous part of barrel aged beer, the struggle. But that's what makes us love that liquid, and that's why we cherish the bottle. That's why we put the wax on it. That's, you know, that's a celebration of all that long process. And yeah.
Like the comments here saying, a lot of people love it. It's like it's great. They really like it. But that I mean, it's also perfect. Like when you say it, like when you have like a personal tasting, you have it with your family or so on, and you want to just try different styles of beers, maybe different kind of beers, maybe from particular brewery like you are, or different kinds of ones. This is a perfect ending, I think. It's yeah.
And we experiment with something. I mean, we got so excited about talking about the barrels. You know, we have like this fixed tripod camera, but maybe we try to move the camera around a little bit. Oliver will try to move the camera around to show
yeah, please.
How many barrels we have it here. Like, just put it up and turn it down. And this is good, Oliver. Yeah, go.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is very good. Oh, yeah. So, and this is also, you have to consider it's summer. We have taken most of it out. So I would say we are at 30% of some technical part fell off, but I think we still have.
You're still online. It's all fine.
All right. Okay, we got away with our experiment. So.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, it seems it's a lot. It's a big investment, right? To purchase the stuff, and as you said, to you know, that not every barrel is suitable for barrel aging, right?
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work as well, because I mean, every barrel that you've just seen, every single one of these not only has to be like lab tests run on it, but also every barrel has to be tasted before it goes into anything. So you see how many of that is. It's quite an amount of work that you've got to put into these beers. So that's why we really want to kind of like make them special. We've put so much into it.
And beauty of it is this is something that you cannot really like industrialize or make it big, or, you know, that they will always remain small. Like, we will never expand. I mean, we're not going to rent another warehouse to do that, you know. This is our cellar, you know. These walls are fucking heavy, thick brick walls, you know, over 100 years old. So it's despite the very hot summer, it's still very, very good temperature in here. So this is
now I know why you have chosen this kind of spot to do the live tasting, right?
I mean, we are enjoying the peace and the atmosphere here.
It's perfect.
It's a great place, so, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And there are some props to the camera guy. Yeah. Hey, Oliver. I have another follow-up questions. Like you said it, you mentioned the term aesthetics a lot, Peter. And is it this waxing thing. You said some people like it, some people don't like it. I just mentioned your cellar series, your barrel age series. Is it just purely aesthetic, or is there a practical, let's say, like something behind that most people don't consider?
Right. Yeah, of course. Of course, there is, because the cellar series is named because I mentioned the land cellars we have around, and I think it's also common in Germany that goes with the bar. So this is the ideal place to keep it. But even if you keep it in some fridge, sometimes the crown cork can get rusty. And imagine if you have spent a lot of money on the beer, then you have spent a lot of time on the beer, and then when you open, you found a rusty crown cap. This is a bummer. So the wax will prevent that fully, and you can really leave it in the humid conditions in the wine cellars or really countryside. I don't know, fucking bury the bottle, and when we put the I think 3, 4, 5 years on the bottle, it is because we are such a young brewery. We don't dare to put longer. But at the same time, we feel that, kept in the right conditions, beer can be easily, when it's over 10, 11%, can be easily 5 to 7 years. But again, it is different batch by batch. And for example, in Estonian, like it's not just a lot of beer breweries, but there's also a lot of beer geeks. So there's forums. People are keeping stock and then tasting every once in a while, keeping exchanging information about, like, hey, this batch I think is now, past the best. You should all open it. Or they're exchanging like comment like, hey, this is still pretty young. Don't open it. Keep for another year and then open and share. So there's like actively information is shared about the barrel aged beer here. So it's amazing thing. So I also love to keep many of our beers for years. So I have my little hidden cellar at the Friends land cellar, my box, and then I go there only every 6 months. I pick a bottle and then I taste and then see how it's developed. So
yeah,
something I recommend to pick up.
Yeah, we did a tasting about this about your beer. It was the stuff, this really heavy stuff. I cannot recap. I had heard a rumor you crushed a couple of of your vessels, of your cans. What is it? 17.5 last year. No, 2 years ago. Pardon?
As good as it gets.
When
it's 17.
I cannot recap. It was a barley wine, I think.
No, not a barley wine. Imperial Stout, double barrel aged. Collab with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the stuff is like, how do you come up? Like, there are not rumors, but people know yeast can process sugar or to a certain amount of level. How do you achieve like 17, 18, 19% ABV, something like this?
Through a lot of hard work, to put it bluntly. There was a very, very tricky fermentation profile that we had to go for that beer. And then also that was a double barrel aged one. So when it goes into a barrel, it can pick up some of the ABV from the spirit soaked into the wood. So 1% here or there. One of those barrels was Pedro Jimenez, which doesn't give you almost any alcohol. One was bourbon. So we ended up going in at about 15-ish ABV already to the barrels and picking up the rest from there. We've not personally, but a lot of breweries have pushed that limit extremely high. I mean, Sam Adams Utopia, for example. There's a lot you can do with yeast if you can like trick it into working your way.
I can sure there's no cheating in achieving ABV, because 17.5 is not something to be like, cheating on.
It's not that crazy.
So this was for the long process and maturing, this is what I just wanted to add the comment. When we very first time brewed the Odravein, our very first barley wine, it was our tradition that we used to brew in April for our birthday. When we had our first birthday to celebrate, we brewed the barley wine, it was 12%. And then we acquired the very fresh bourbon barrels. and we put 12% barley wine into the barrels. We picked it up in 6 months and sent the liquid to the alcohol testing. It came back 16. So it acquired extra 4% ABV from the wood because of such a fresh. So the wood had still, stored so much alcohol itself.
Yeah.
So yes, that was alcohol, but with amazing taste. So I remember that we had to release 6 months later. We had to release the barley wine bourbon version at 16%. It wasn't our wish because just 6 months before the beer was 12% released as a regular. So just to give you an example how much the beer can actually gain, and especially when you get the first bourbon. So this is the most vanilla, there's a lot of taste in it. And lately we also have done a direct container shipment from the States, just filled with the bourbon. Of course, we get the better price, but the main reason is that we get fresh stuff. We get less peaks, we get much more taste. So it's, all connected.
Yeah. Let's head to some questions from my side and from the audience side. There's one side, maybe not beer wise, but hey, beer fest wise, like Tallinn Craft Beer Weekend, like postponed. Of course, we know why. There is no surprise about that, right? So a lot of festivals around Europe and the world has been postponed or cancelled. You have postponed the last one, and from my last news, also this year's ones, I know why.
We decided not to hold it because by local rules we could hold it, but we can see that we are not getting as much brewers internationally traveling. Many of the festival go. As our beer, the festival is also half of people come from abroad to our festival, so it wouldn't be the same. So we have booked ourselves the first weekend of June next year. Our regular date was first weekend of May, but our venue was booked. So next year it will be June, but then from 2023 it will begin first weekend of May. So TCBW is here to stay. So yeah, it's Tallinn Beer, it's Tallinn Craft Beer Weekend, TCBW. I know perhaps it could be easier. I don't know. We'll discuss about it. But yeah, for now it's TCBW. Again, 50 brewers, 1,500 people, the same venue, the old powerhouse by the sea. Probably the luck to visit. So we will release some tickets to sale. Not know yet, but we will publish through the Facebook.
Wait a little bit and do the same festival that we know and love, and put on something that's not gonna be us.
Yeah.
We don't want to do half-ass shit.
Yeah. I get it. It's still 1,500. You haven't increased it. No, you won't decrease it, right? It's perfect for the location, right?
We have reached the venue because this is 1,500 visitors plus about 250 brewers, volunteers, blah blah blah. So this is the max we can do, and it's convenient,
Yeah.
We don't want to push it too crammed,
No, I get it.
It's a nice experience, and it will always remain that nice experience. It is a bit boutique thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. There's another question. I moved back to a later format. So there's a question for your design, because there are people who love the stuff, the design. Who's in charge of this? Is
the round design?
From the cans, right?
Okay, I think the round thing was meant about the Laager thing, or no? But anyway, the designs are made by Marke. I think you have met Marke, the tall guy, the goofy guy who lived in Berlin. Anyway, there's a designer who has been with us since day one. He is designer of our logo. He's also a small partner with the brewery. And he's a freelancer designer and beer lover. The process of our designs is that he says, like, first of all, I need the name and I need a very thorough beer description. He understands he cannot taste the beer before, the label has to be ready, but he will get the thorough description from the Chris, and then we start a little bit ping pong with the team, and then it goes. The designer doesn't work with us at the site. We don't know where he is. He's by the screen, and every once in a while we see him. So
yeah,
he's a truly artsy guy, and I think we can be very proud what we have achieved together, and I think we have allowed enough artistic freedom to him. So we have not, we've never been like a pushy management, like, oh, we need this, so we need that. It was like, kind of free flow, and I hope it shows.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, we are almost finished. Maybe you guys have something to say for the audience. Maybe something we haven't mentioned yet. Something that's on your mind that we haven't faced yet. So some kind of a topic that you say, okay, that's important, but you haven't mentioned it yet. I mean, we're not perfect. Nobody is, but you really wanted to point out that issue. Some thoughts for the audience, for the people who want to enjoy your beer. Maybe visit Tallinn, maybe visit Estonia, and
I just wanted to say there's absolutely no issue. The biggest issue is that I miss traveling so much. I miss Berlin so much. I miss Hamburg. I mean, I miss you guys. It's the social life of craft beer has to come back. Because it's essential. I mean, this is giving life juice, inspiration. We will get better beers if brewers will meet each other in live.
Explain the video stuff, that there was a tour that
we started with. And the world is opening up. I hope you saw the Noblessner area from the videos, like we started off with, and I mentioned sauna. This is here for everybody. It's not like like a private club, We have 24 taps. We have a great kitchen with it's a Texas barbecue, but it's mixed with so many different world cuisines, because our kitchen is fulfilled with different nationalities. So we always, there's a lot of Asian mix into it. So great beer, great food. We are in the old shipyard. It's a great architecture. If you are into architecture, the whole Tallinn city is, the old town is from 11th century.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's great because I've been there a couple of times. You can do everything by foot. You can walk at everything. You don't need any public transportation.
Exactly, very good point.
Yeah.
You take a Bolt or Uber from the Tallinn airport to the city center. It's 10 minutes, 10 euros, and then from there you're on foot. Or you can take the scooter by the phone. I think every city.
Yeah, it's exactly.
But you don't need it here. So it's everything is walkable. And
there are a lot of nice areas came up like in the last 10 years, like Telliskivi or Rotermani, and so there is a lot of small spots that deliver a lot of nice food and a lot of nice beers. And you guys have now your own tap room. And of course a kitchen there, so you can eat there as well. Not just sauna, Japanese toilet, and beer, also food. And
culinary scene is very high, and the other aspect, what all the areas you mentioned, it's also cities opening up to the sea, so you can. There's a lot of walk by, beautiful walkways by the sea. So it's a great city to come and see.
Yes. Agreed fully with that, Chris and Peter. So I really appreciate that you took your time with us, that you shared your thoughts, your honest opinions about stuff we discovered today. I really liked it. I hope you audience liked it as well. I hope you come up with other questions. You just follow up. Maybe we do another one. Will we do another one in the near future? Maybe live from your brewery, that would be dope. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I hope you have guys a nice evening, and the audience as well. I myself, I'm quite drunk because I couldn't share it, but I like it. See you next time, and hope to see you in Tallinn soon.
Absolutely. Prost, thank you, Valdemar, for a great time and hosting this event. And all our friends who we haven't seen or met, so ciao.
Bye-bye.
See you all in live. Berlin.
See you.
Coming.
Cheers.
Have a great weekend, everyone.